All right, welcome to Wilson's Hutchinson Stadium today to celebrate and honor our Wilson Orangemen for the class of 2020. I realize that this is not our typical Orangemen ceremony, but I thought we needed to have something as close to that as we could to honor our student athletes who have achieved this special moment. So thank you, Mom and Dad, family, for coming in, and of course our athletes. One of the truly great traditions we have here at Wilson is the Wilson Orangeman Award. It is probably my favorite day as a athletic director here in Wilson. The Orangeman Award. The Wilson All Sports Booster Club was created in 1971. It was created because of budgetary problems back in those days for the athletic department. A group of parents created the Booster Club, and one of their first tasks, or one of their first ideas, was to create an Orangeman Award, which was to be presented at the culmination of the season at the Spring Sports Awards. Obviously, we don't have a Spring Sports Awards in this particular year, but we're going to do it today, and we're going to do it really well for our student athletes. It was determined by the Booster Club that any student athlete that participated in 3 sports a year for all 4 years of high school would be honored with the Orangeman Award. It was determined that it would happen at the final Spring Sports Awards, and the first recipient in 1971 was 3-sport star Mitch Carr. As I stated, this is an award given out to the select few student athletes that have the ability and the want to play 3 sports a year for Wilson for all 4 years. Past recipients of this award include names like Ed Kiley, Gene Perry, Bobby Hartz, Scott Dinsey, Meg Thompson, Amy Stanko, Scott Benton, Brett Sipple, Jim Vautour, Steve Frericks, senior and junior, Mike Carlo, Patrick Walsh, Jamie Curry, and Emily Kelly, to name a few. This year, we have 12 Orangeman Awards to give out. That list includes Bobby Atlas, Izzy Dinsey, Trent Kenny, Anna Frericks, Mitch Mahar, Emily Muio, Cam Guy, Skylar Moneykeisen, Drew Westmoreland, Alex Martinez, Patrick Seeley, and Trisha Manchester. These amazing student athletes will be receiving a gift, an engraved watch from Firth Jewelers that culminates that on the back of the watch will say Orangeman 2020. And they will also receive a plaque from the Wilson All Sports Booster Club. Like many of you in attendance tonight, or those of you watching live from home, I've had the good fortune to have a front row seat to watch these young men and young women compete at the highest level and do it the right way for 4 to 6 years. It's been really fun, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Bobby Atlas, come on up. So Bobby Atlas played football, basketball, and baseball for Wilson. I know from experience the toughest gig for any high school student is playing for your father. Playing QB is probably the toughest of the tough. Bobby had pressure. The family pressure. The team pressure. The outside pressure to be the next Steve Frericks or Justin Dahl. And of course, any individual pressure Bobby put on himself. That's a lot for a teenager who is being asked to lead a varsity football team for the first time as a senior. And how did Bobby handle this pressure? By leading the team to New Era Field and completing the best season in Wilson football history. That's how it's done. My favorite Bobby memory was looking at him before the game started at New Era Field and seeing his demeanor. Now, for adults, going to New Era Field as an athletic director, it's a big deal. For kids to see, hundreds, thousands of Wilson community members in the stands at that point, it's a really big deal. And most teenagers probably aren't equipped to handle it. Bobby was. The confidence and calm he displayed showed me that moment and that stage wasn't too big for him. The coach's kid was ready. I asked Coach Atlas, also known as Dad, what he would say about Bobby Atlas. He says, it's difficult to come in and be only a one-year starter at quarterback, but Bobby made his mark. He is the only quarterback in the modern era that led his team to an undefeated regular season and a shot at a sectional title. It was a pleasure to have a true student of the game and a coach on the field. Bobby understood the offense, knew what everyone's responsibility was, and was the field general that put every offensive play in motion. I'm sure it's not easy to be in the program for as long as he has, and to listen to me morning, noon, and night. But he handled it very, very well. I'm proud of the man he has become, and I am very excited for what the next chapter of his life brings. Bobby, thanks for the memories. The entire Wilson community will always remember the coach's kid, Bobby Atlas. Congratulations.
Well, Mr. Roth, thank you very much. And Bobby, Mr. Roth mentioned in his speech about you, his favorite moment of you was at New Era Field and your pregame ritual before that. Did you have a favorite moment of your athletic career?
Yeah, I'd probably have to say that the New Fan homecoming game. Homecoming weekend, it was a big game for us going into playoffs, and we really had to get prepped for that. And then, we had a fun time out there, me and my 19 best friends, and we just had a lot of fun that weekend. It was probably my favorite memory from all 4 years.
And out of playing football, basketball, and baseball, you probably learned a lot about yourself as an athlete. Did you learn a little bit about yourself as a person as well?
Yeah, I definitely did. I had to make friends with people who, maybe I wasn't acquainted with before. And, I really had to learn that, making friends is what's going to happen in the real world. And, just networking and stuff like that is what you're going to need once you get a real job and you're out of high school. So I really thought that that's what I learned, through my athletic career.
Bobby, thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, Julian, thank you so much for coming for Bobby here today. We see Bobby on the field. We see him playing football. We see him playing basketball and baseball as well. We don't really see the behind the scenes. Is there anything that we should know about him, not just as an athlete, but as a person as well?
I'd say athlete-wise, just how Bobby's such a good leader in the locker room. Like, he's not the type of guy to come out on the field and just be rah-rah and hyping everybody up like that kind of leader. But he'll be a guy who's just kind of reassuring, just like quietly, just giving you little tips and just little positive things to say to you to get you picked up in the locker room and out on the field. And then as a person, I've known Bobby for 5 years. He's been my best friend for like 5 years. So I'd say just how good of a person he is and how good of a friend he is. He's just a really reliable friend who I can always lean to if I need anything.
Now, is there something that everyone always says, I learned something from my coach? You maybe said that about Mr. Sipple, Mr. Atlas, or whoever. Was there anything that maybe you learned from Bobby?
I learned to never get too high and never get too low. After he threw me that game-winning touchdown, he wasn't celebrating. He was just even keel. He never gets too low and he never gets too high. And I think that's something that I'm going to bring with me throughout life because anything can happen, so you can never get too hyped up or too down on yourself.
Julian, thank you so much.
Thank you.